Everybody, Josh here. How you doing? I thought some more info on um, the referendum, the no vote, is warranted. So I've been studying again the education system, the national curriculum in Australia, and it's becoming apparent how much the political class and the NGOs were expecting to win the referendum. Because I was thinking, okay, well, why are they getting so upset? You know, I know that they're not going to stop, but why are they getting so upset? Why there's such an uproar? And basically, it's because I'm starting to discover that an assumption of a yes result in the referendum was being written into the new Education Declaration, the Victorian, all the Victorian stuff that's been going on for the last couple of years, putting sort of like Indigenous authority into the Waldorf and also the school curriculum. The Waldorf is the Victorian early years learning and development framework. And so it says that Indigenous people have like this special type of knowledge that they own, and it's unequivocal that they own the land. They're the owners, and so you have this language that that just goes to show that the assumption is that the referendum was going to be a yes, and the fact that the people voted no, they don't accept that. They're not going to change their mind. They already have all these ideas of critical theory. It's not up for question. It wasn't a question. It was a formality. So now there's they needed the yes vote to release the enormous amounts of money and resources that were going to get distributed out to a copious amount of NGOs and special organizations and special interest groups and other things, all cultural Marxists, obviously, that were waiting to get that funding released so they could dive in and take advantage of all that cash and start to implement pressure on the rest of society to implement the next thing, which is the Makarrata, and then going towards the treaty thing. So yeah, the fact that they couldn't release those funds federally because of the voice referendum not going their way, the states obviously are going to do what they can under their budgets to implement the plan. See, from a critical theory perspective, if you're white, you're racist. There's no question. You are racist. You don't know. You might not know that you're racist. If you do know you're racist, that means you're still racist. That means you're like a Nazi or a right-wing extremist, right? They're the racists and the Nazis and the right-wing crazies, the reactionaries. Whereas if you're just consider yourself a normal person and you say you're not racist, you're just blind. You just don't see it. So the thing that's racist is the way you open a door is racist. The way you walk through a door is racist. The fact that you have a door to open in the first place is racist. The systemic racism goes all the way through everything that is built by the colonial society. It is representative of a complete systemic racism, and it dehumanizes the Indigenous people and forces them to live a different way, the colonizers' way. They don't have a choice. They're oppressed. And they're oppressed for generations because they were Indigenous, they still are Indigenous, and there is a proper way that they should be living, and they're not able to live that way. They're not free to live that way. So they need to be liberated from the colonial powers of oppression in order so that they can self-actualize. And so it's the idea that you destroy the colonial oppressors in order to liberate the indigenous population. That's the way it works. So you can choose to be an ally. You can choose to be a Marxist ally by repenting from your racism. But that comes through reflection, deep reflection. And you can learn how to see racism through a process called conscientization. You're developing a critical consciousness, which is what the school is doing through the process of social emotional learning, SEL, and the Castle Foundation, or the Castle Institution, which is an American institution which has ties to quite out there new agey stuff. But basically, the school is designed to bring out your emotions, to let your emotions lead, so that you can learn that secret knowledge of being able to see oppression through self-reflection and sensitizing your consciousness, becoming aware of it. In other words, that's where woke comes from. Are you woke? Yeah, I'm woke. That means you're aware and you're able to see the power dynamics at work, and you can see racism now everywhere. You can see that the dish, that the sink is racist. Can you see? The sink is racist. And the dishwasher, it's racist. Photos are racist. Speakers are racist. The clock, look at this. The clock, that's racist. Now, if you don't know why it's racist, you're not woke. But if you get the special knowledge through that spiritual act of self-reflection and being reborn, as Freire puts it, you can see how all these things are racist. And if you want to work to pay back your previous racism, you can become an ally, and you can start being like a demon hunter, where you can go on and you can be a fact checker of right-wing extremism, and you can find out and infiltrate their groups and find out what they're saying and then dob on them to the news media, the leftist news media like ABC, and they'll tell the people who are the bad guys. They'll expose all that they're doing. And also you can repent from your whiteness and your racism by supporting the voice. So if you didn't vote yes, you're a racist. If you didn't vote yes, you are either a full-blown Nazi racist, or you're just a blind, poor, pitiful, not educated racist. Whereas if you go to school, university, and you learn how to see racism, you would have voted yes. Do you notice this rhetoric around? Do you see that they can't stop? They won't stop. You can't repent from it. You can't change their minds. It's an unfalsifiable conclusion. And it's not based in reality. It's based heavily in its modern form in emotion. Social emotional learning uses your inner emotions. It sensitizes them to act like, for instance, guilt, shame, all the negative emotions. It sensitizes your emotions to use those negative emotions as a self-censoring tool, as an internal guide for what's right to do in the world. So if you see that you know that you should vote yes on the referendum, you feel this anxiety, right? And so you vote yes. And if the result is no, then your emotions explode and you can't handle it because, oh my goodness, the racism of Australia. How the poor people who are blind and uneducated, how are we going to cope with fighting? We were fighting so hard, we were nearly there. I'm going to need a week off. They're not messing around. They really need a week off because it's the side effect of supercharging your emotions so that it controls your life. It is a mind control technique that was developed in Mao's China. It was also developed by Paulo Freire, the South American educrat, Marxist guy. It was also investigated by George Lukács, the Hungarian revolutionary, in his cultural reforms where they use sexualizing kids as a way to subvert. Once you understand critical theory and how it works, everything that you are seeing makes sense. They are not joking. They do need a week off. They are not joking. They do believe you are racist. They are not joking when the woke get triggered and go bananas about things. You need to understand this. Good luck. If you want to see the presentation I did on the education system where I go through Paulo Freire and what the education system is designed to do and its peripheral stuff, the NGOs that have collected around the Marxist grifters and all the other people that have circled around the education system to lead off children into certain political identities via apps and the privacy of those apps and the data mining of your kids and all the other stuff, turning your kids as dobbers against you, basically. It's on the channel. You just need to scroll down and watch it. It's useless information if no one watches it. Please. There is pitifully little investigation into the left-wing extremism in Australia. The vast majority of the fact checkers in Australia are witch hunting Nazis. They're not Nazis, they're lefties, but they're witch hunters and they're hunting Nazis. They don't fact check everything. They only fact check things that are in their attack crosshairs. They're looking for racists. They're looking for the people that speak their views and negatively influence the uneducated, because they are keeping the progression of our society. The reason why Australia voted no is because of the racists. Otherwise, we would have had the revolution by now. That's how they think. If you send your kids to school in Australia, you may not see a lot of what I'm talking about, but the theoretical framework is there, but it acts like a slider. So if you have a teacher who wants to conscientize your kids, they have the framework there to be protected while they do it. Whereas the teachers' colleges, the university degrees, the way that they're teaching teachers how to teach is this critical method, or these critical methods, with the assumption of sustainability from the UN, with the assumption of decolonization and racism elements. They're teaching teachers how to teach by using critical theory. So you go up to a teacher and you say, "Are you using critical theory to teach my kids?" And they say, "No, I absolutely am not." And they're telling the truth because they don't know that their teachers, their lecturers, their professors are using critical theory to teach these kids. or to teach their teachers how to teach the kids. The hardest part about it is that the push to get kids into primary school earlier and earlier and earlier. The Waldorf is from 0 to 8. The Victorian early education framework is literally from birth to 8. The way that they educate children when they're 0 is they get the parents to go to the clinic, to see the community health nurse, to get involved in occupational therapists, psychologists, all the dentists. Well, dentists probably not, but dentists are being used to get your kids in school. So the kids that are going through the pathway of indoctrination are going to be rewarded with free stuff. The kids who don't, the parents who don't do that, the kids are going to feel left out, and it's going to cost the parents money. It's the opt-in or the opt-out, strategy, where they reward you for doing what they want and they punish you for not doing what they want. So the parents are getting taught social emotional learning to apply to children as young as 1 year old and less. You have, it's womb to tomb, literally. Yeah? This is not disinformation. I'm not crazy. This is not a conspiracy theory. If you don't know, if you're not informed, that doesn't mean you can legitimately call me crazy, because I have done the reading. I have done the investigation. I've spent dozens and dozens of hours on this. I've even studied it technically at a undergraduate level, if you want to see it that way. So, what do? You have to get informed. You have to understand what you're talking about. You have to stop looking at videos like this, ironically, and you need to pick up a book of someone who knows what they're talking about and read it. And not believe everything they say, but critically read it and think about it. I mean, videos that I do can help. Videos that other people do can help. But there is no substitute for you getting quality books and reading them, or finding quality courses and doing them. Yeah? Going on Telegram and having like a group think or an echo chamber is not going to help you to be able to have perspective. It's just going to do the same thing that the lefties are doing and indoctrinate you. And you won't be able to test whether a piece of information is true or not. But you'll believe that you can. The worst thing that leads people into craziness is the fact that people don't know what they don't know. And if they forget that, they start to believe that they really do know everything that they need to know. And that arrogance leads people into all sorts of trouble. Well, enough. That's 21 minutes. It's too long, I know. But I care about it, and I wanted to come on and tell you about it. So when you start to fight back against the Marxists, or the critical theorists, and the people that are indoctrinated and the woke, they're going to use nullification against you, which is like an ad hominem attack, an attack at you, or some sort of dismissive thing. It's called a nullification, where they dismiss and they say, oh, well, that's conspiracy theory. Oh, well, you're just a racist. Oh, well, that's racism. It has nothing to do with anything. It's them having a brain fart where their conditioning has kicked in and they're defining what it was that they were taught when they see certain words clustered together and certain ideas coming. They don't actually think about it. They just have the emotional vomit. And they can't handle it. They get extremely anxious. The one thing that they know that they need to get out of the situation with is the same opinion. When you're in an argument, you are not convincing them, because their one goal in that is, no, they've got two goals. Number one is to convince you. Now, failing that, their next goal is to get out of the conversation with the reactionary or the racist or whomever they think they're talking to, is to get out of that conversation with their original belief system intact. They're not allowing you to persuade them, because they already have pre-chosen that you are wrong and that you are blind and that you have no claim to truth and that you don't know what you're talking about because you're not woke. You can't see the oppression. You can't see the racism. So you won't be persuading them. Don't bother having fights with your family members and other things like that. Have normal conversations, polite conversations. Point out some things to look at, but don't go overboard and get their emotions all charged, because their brain shuts off. They won't even remember the conversation because they'll be that stressed. They'll remember that they had a conversation that was horrible and they won't want to have another one with you. You've got to be gentle. You have to understand the conscientization process creates internal stress. And a lot of these people, as these techniques have been progressed over time, over the last 50 years, a lot of these people tend to commit suicide, or at least have the pressure to commit suicide. People indoctrinated into postmodernism know that they kind of get that something's not right, that they're not getting something, but they're not sure what it is. Just be gentle with them. It's not an us and them mentality. It's we're all in this together. I was talked for so long, I'm sorry. I'll let it go. Take care of yourself. I love you all. Bye.